Hey, it's Nate Savage here again, and welcome to video 10 of the Blues Guitar Quick Start series. In this lesson, we're going to talk about turnaround blues licks. Now, if you don't know what those are, don't worry. I'm going to explain to you exactly what they are, and then we're going to go through and learn a few turnaround blues licks that you can use in your solos. So, what is a blues turnaround lick? If you remember a couple lessons ago, we were talking about how to make your licks fit over whatever chord you're playing over. A blues turnaround lick is just a lick that's custom made to fit over the last two chord changes of the 12-bar blues, or the last two bars of the 12-bar blues, which is a 1 chord and a 5 chord. In this case, we're in the key of E blues, so that's going to be an E chord and a B chord. A lot of players will memorize turnaround licks because in measures 11 and 12 of the 12-bar blues, the chords are going by pretty quick. There's only one measure of the 1 chord and one measure of the 5 chord. It's really nice to have a solid lick that you know will be there for you when you're trying to get back around to the beginning of the 12-bar blues progression again. So with that in mind, I have 3 blues turnaround licks that I'm going to teach you here that you can learn and kind of add to your library for these types of licks. This first blues turnaround lick incorporates something that's really common in turnaround licks, and that's to hit the 1 or the downbeat of the first of the last 2 measures in the 12-bar blues with a really strong root note over the 1 chord, right? So you hit that quarter note, and that's your first note of this turnaround lick. From there, you're going to see a 3rd fret of the B string and a 4th fret of the G string, but they have little slashes in front of them, so that means you're going to want to slide up to those notes. And you're not only going to hit those notes, the G and the B strings, but you're also going to incorporate the high E string too on that strum. So all together, you're going to strum that 6 times, but the first one has that little slide in there. So far you have the big downbeat. From there, you're going to see a slash with a 2 in front of it on the G string. That's telling you to slide down to the 2nd fret of the G string. And then you're going to hit that G string open. And then the 2nd fret of the D string. So far you have. From there, the 2nd measure, to go back into the 5 chord, all we're going to do is walk up the blues scale starting on the low E string. Open E string, 3rd fret, then open A string, 1st fret of the A string, then the 2nd fret of the A string, which is a B note, so we land for our B chord. So that 2nd measure's. So take this slowly, go as slowly as you need to kind of connect the dots for this whole lick, and it'll sound like this. All right, this next turnaround lick is a little bit challenging. I'll show you why. It starts off the same way the last one did, a strong downbeat on the E. It's an E power chord this time, though. From there, you're going to make a bar on the 4th fret across the top 3 strings. You're not going to be playing the B string at all, but it's easier to make this bar than it is to make this shape with 2 fingers. So that's the way I do it. And you're going to play with actually your 2nd and 3rd fingers on your picking hand. You're going to pluck those. And then you're going to come back and play the 6th fret of the D string with your pinky. And then come back and play those other 2 notes with your 2nd and 3rd fingers. And that's kind of your pattern you're going to be using here. And you don't have to do it like this. You don't have to use your fingers and pick to play like this. But if you choose to just strum this rhythm right here, you can't use a bar because they would be letting your B string ring out. You have to grab these 2 notes with your 1st and 2nd finger, and then this note with your pinky, and just strum them. But that's your pattern as far as the hybrid picking thing goes. So fingers, pick, fingers. And what you're going to do is just move that shape down 1 fret. Do the same thing. Move it down again. Same exact thing. So you start with your power chord. And that takes care of the first measure of this lick. The last measure of this lick is just, you're going to put your 1st finger on the G string and then the open E string and plug those 2 notes. From there, you just walk up the notes on the A string for the blues scale up to that B note. So open A, first fret of the A, and then the B string. So that entire thing. And one thing that I should mention, if you're playing with your fingers, one thing that helps me kind of get some separation between those notes is if I pluck and then come down with my pinky, I let off the pressure on my index finger, and then when I go back to the plucking, I'll let off with my pinky. So that just gives some separation. Otherwise, it will bleed all over each other. Which you might want, you might not. It just depends on the style you want to portray. This next turnaround lick is actually coming up in the next lesson too, when we're going to learn how to play our blues riff with some lead lines interjected. So it's good that you're going to learn it here. It starts off with another strong downbeat on an E power chord. And then you're going to take your third and fourth fingers on the third fret of the G and high E strings, and you're going to slide those two notes up to the fourth fret once you pick them. You can strum them or pick them with your picking fingers. It's up to you. I like to do it this way. It's a little bit more accurate for me. I don't have to worry about that B string ringing out as much. But you're going to see two fours with slashes in front of them. Again, that just means to slide into those fourth frets from below. And you're going to play two of those swung eighth notes. Then move down to the third fret, play two more swung eighth notes. Second fret, same thing. And from there, you're going to make a B7 chord. We haven't learned the shape in this series yet, but you're going to learn it now. That's fine. And you're kind of basically doing down, down, down on the first three strings of the shape. And then you're doing a strum across the top two strings. And the shape for this is just your second finger on the second fret of the A string. First finger is going to grab the first fret of the D string. Third finger is going to grab the second fret of the G. Pinky's going to grab the second fret of the high E. You don't play the E string at all here. The rest of the five strings are in this chord. So you have down, down, down on the A, D, and G strings, and then kind of a strum for the top B and E strings. Now that you know what a turnaround lick is and you've been exposed to a couple of them, you can start building your own library of turnaround licks. You know, listen to your favorite players, take their turnaround licks and add them to your own library. So pull up one of the jam tracks, it doesn't matter which one, 70 beats per minute, 100 beats per minute, and try to throw some turnaround licks in. If you can't really think that far ahead, don't worry about it. Just count along until you get to measures 11 and 12 of the jam track, right? And just throw in the turnaround lick there. So that does it for the turnaround blues lick lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to take everything that you've learned in this series and put it together. We're going to go through the more dressed up blues riff that we learned, but we're going to interject some blues lead licks in there too, so get ready for that. If you have any questions, leave them here in the comments or email me, Nate@guitarsystem.com. See ya.